What's good with y'all? Lil Joy, man. Y'all boy, just sit back and listen. I'm gonna tell y'all a life story of mine. There was a time in my life when I felt like giving up on God. I was weary because of all the heartache and pain that I've been through. Depression and stress became my best friend. No matter where I turned, whether to the left or to the right, I found no safety net. The money brought me no happiness, and whenever I did feel a sense of peace, there always seemed to be something waiting around the corner to steal my joy and corrupt my soul. I thought about suicide on many occasions because I felt like I had no place in this cruel world. They say hurt people, and I've hurt people because I was hurt. I felt traumatized by life's experiences, so I was overwhelmed by my circumstances at the time. Although my heart beat on the left side of my chest, I felt like I was already dead. On the outside, I presented a smile, but on the inside, I had already given up the ghost. I don't believe that I'll go to heaven, but I'm already in hell, so how can things get any worse? I lay in the bed at night and thought of all the endless possibilities. I stopped blaming the world for all of my mistakes. Although I felt changes in my life, I still felt this empty void in my life. Something was missing. I was not advancing the way I thought I should. I was being ungrateful. Am I cursed? Or maybe I'm just simply not good enough for God. When I look into the mirror, I see so much potential, but somehow I was stagnant in my elevation. No matter what, I made a promise to myself that I'm not giving up on God this time. I'm not always happy. I'm not always sad. I had to learn to take the passenger seat and allow God to take the wheel. This time, I will hold on to the Lord's garment until He beats me off of Him or gives me the blessings that I've been impatiently waiting on. Then it hit me. I figured it out. Impatience is what stopped my blessings. Maybe I'll wait just a little longer. But how long shall I have to wait? Suddenly I heard the Lord say to me, "Son, you have to experience a little more pain. Son, you have to go through some more fire." Then I fell asleep. When I woke, I was in a bed in a room. I had no idea where I was, but I felt safe. My mind was clear for the first time in a very long time. Then I saw my life on the TV screen. I seen even the parts of me that I didn't want anyone to know about me. Then I heard a soft voice that said, "Son, there is nothing that you can hide from me. There is nothing new under the sun that hasn't been done." Then I fell into a deep trance. And when I woke up, I was in a prison cell, back to reality. I didn't feel the same sense of peace that I had felt when I was in that dark room talking to God. Suddenly, the pressures of the world came back to me, as if I had never spoken to God. What was the purpose of the dream? Why would God send me back to feel this pain and hurt? I meditated in the prison cell that I was in, but once again my thoughts became clouded with negative thoughts of the world. "I want peace, God. Please take the wheel, Lord." Then I heard a voice again. "Son, you asked for patience, so I gave you obstacles to test your patience so that you could become stronger." I began to cry because I had no way to respond. I had no words because just when I was about to lose faith, God gave me all the answers that I needed. The more I gained, the more I lost. I felt like I had no way to win. I had to rely on God because I was drowning. I went under the water. I was choking. Suddenly, I felt my breath leaving my body. Just as I felt my ghost leaving my body, I felt someone grab my hand. Although I could feel myself being lifted from the depths of this monstrous sea, I was completely unaware of how I got in. I was completely unaware of how I got into this turmoil. As I lay unconscious in this unfamiliar territory, I felt breath being blown into my body. I was lifted to my feet, but I fell back down because my legs were weak. I had no strength left. Suddenly, I felt my body being lifted again, but again I fell down, and again I felt my body being lifted back to my feet. Suddenly, I heard a soft voice that said, "Lay down for a minute and rest. Take some deep breaths until you have enough energy to stand on your own." Tired and exhausted, I did as I was told. Once I mustered up the strength to stand, I stood to my feet, but my legs were shaking, and I was afraid to take a step because I had used up all my energy that I had just to stand on my feet. I felt like a baby all over again. Suddenly, I heard a voice, but this time it was thundering. And not only was I in the middle of nowhere, but I was standing on top of some water. This is what the voice said to me. "Every time you fell down, I picked you up. I never left you, nor did I forsake you. When you died in this very sea that you stand on top of, I grabbed your hand and blew life back into your body. Now, if you take the first step, I'll take the next step." Suddenly, it was silent, and I was once again in unfamiliar territory because not only were my legs weak, but I was on top of water. This story sounded very familiar, but I was so weak that I had empty thoughts. How was I standing on top of this tumultuous sea? How was I supposed to walk on top of water? Suddenly I was knee deep, and I began to panic, but I did not go under. As I gained more confidence, I felt the strength in my legs begin to come back. Suddenly I took a step, right foot, and suddenly my left foot moved on its own. Then I took another step, right foot, and then my left leg moved on its own. As I got closer and closer to land, I felt a sudden pain in my left leg. The closer I got to the land, the more it hurt. Suddenly, I felt sand under my feet and my heart began to race. I was almost on dry land. Just a few more steps. The closer I got to dry land, the more my left leg began to hurt. I was exhausted and out of breath. The pain in my left leg was excruciating. When I looked down my left leg, a bone was sticking from out of my calf. I had never seen anything of this sort, and the pain was unbearable. When I was walking on the water in the sea, my steps felt light. But now that I was on land, I could go no longer, and my body felt heavy. And now my left leg had lost its strength. I fainted, and suddenly I heard a voice, and this is what was spoken to me. "You wanted to take your own life, so I put you in a situation that will make you appreciate your time here on this earth. I allowed you to drown so you could remember this miracle when you grew older. I grabbed your hand just as you thought you would cross over into the afterlife. I broke your leg to show you that although the physical body may be damaged, I would never leave nor forsake you. I just needed you to rest and gain your energy. Sometimes when you're weak, you just have to reflect and take a spiritual rest. Every time you fail, I lifted you up. You fell down, and I lifted you back up. As you took the first step of faith, I took the second. When you lost faith slightly, you began to sink because in life, sometimes it may seem as though I've left your side. As you got closer to the land, you felt the pain in your leg. It was unlike anything you had ever felt. This I know. In fact, I knew it before you felt it because you came from me. The reason why I allowed you to feel pain was to instill in you that even though you receive blessings, you will still go through hardships in life. But never forsake me, for you shall remember what I've done for you when you died in that sea, which represents life. Suddenly I woke up once again in a prison cell. My legs were healed, and I was so happy to be alive. I'll never forget that experience. Although I still have my bad days, I've learned to see them as blessings in disguises. I made a vow to myself that no matter how hard life got for me, I would never forsake the Lord. The Lord saved me when I was already dead. I wonder how many people were in my same situation but never made it back. I began to cry because I realized how unworthy of the Lord's blessing I really was. Although it was only a dream, it felt so real. I can still remember the pain I felt on my legs. I remember dying, and I remember the Lord blowing breath into my lungs. I remember walking on water and even sinking a little as I lost faith. As I sat on the bunk in the dark, I heard a voice that said, "Never forget." And my response was, "I always remember." Thank you, Lord.